time last week, I released a video of a spoof Tory MP Laura Wallop announcing her candidacy for the party leadership. And I thought it would be hilarious if, as the camera came on, she was dabbing white powder away from the side of her nose. And I thought that was a very funny, silly joke, but it turned out that it was an incredibly insightful piece of me being a psychic, because no less than 48 hours later, Michael Gove was admitting that he'd used cocaine in the past. And on the one hand, like, in a way, it almost makes him more human because, like, so many people have, it's so normal, it's so widespread. But on the other hand, it's massively, massively hypocritical, because he is the person who, as Education Secretary, warned teachers that if they were caught with Class A drugs, they could be banned from the profession for life. He's always been somebody on the side of strong, hard punishments for people who use drugs, and not on the side of, we know that doesn't work, let's do something more reasonable. And he's probably not going to get in trouble about that, but there is still a question over the implications of him saying this out loud, because the US Immigration Service has a policy of refusing entry to people who have admitted to using Class A drugs in the past. They did it to Nigella Lawson. I think Russell Brand has had problems with it. And it would be pretty embarrassing, really, to have a UK Prime Minister who got stopped at the border on his way to the US. They're also quite amusing. To be honest with you, I get the feeling that a lot of the Tory leadership candidates who are now admitting to similar things and so on are just relieved at having the pressure taken off discussion of their policies, because, you know, that of course there are differences in policies, but there's none of them that are saying they would stop the austerity programme outright. And we know that austerity has so far killed about 130,000 people. It's quite weird, because I feel like I should say something about their varied policies. I mean, I think a no-deal Brexit would be a disaster and we shouldn't do it. I think that we should look for somebody who has a more sympathetic view of the immigration system. But I also feel like if I keep comparing Tory leadership candidates, it's kind of like going, what kind of excrement would you like on your dessert? And the answer is none. Like there isn't, obviously there's not a good one. That's like, oh, doesn't make sense. I think they've also been delighted at the distraction caused by Jo Brand and the joke that she made this week. And I want to be very clear that I don't advocate throwing battery acid on anyone. I think we should all stick to milkshakes, although if you're extremely angry, I believe it is acceptable to freeze the milkshake first. But I also don't need to launch into ad hominem attacks about Tory leadership candidates, particularly Michael Gove, because guess what? The Daily Mail has been doing it for me. So last year, the Daily Mail published an article with this title: "Women are going off sex. Modern man has lost that raw, masculine edge." Now, obviously, it's wildly heteronormative, different issue. And it's an article claiming that because of the Me Too movement, men are now terrible in bed. They're all terrified of somebody starting a petition, and all the spontaneity and excitement has disappeared from bedrooms up and down the country. And you might think that that is an insult to all men and not just to Michael Gove. But the article is written by Sarah Vine, and you may or may not know that Sarah Vine is married, she says monogamously, to Michael Gove. And I just want to stick my neck out here on behalf of you guys. Like, people are, you know I talk about women's rights a lot, but there are times when I think men get a rough deal, and this is one of them. It is not fair. It is not fair to malign the sexual effectiveness of men all the way across Britain and around the world based on a survey sample of Michael Gove. Like, I am totally willing to believe that Michael Gove is rubbish in bed. I don't even need to read the article. For me, right, if there's one thing that puts me off sex completely, I would say it's knowing that Michael Gove is in the room. You know, even if he's in the corner looking away, I would still just stop completely. Hashtag that awkward moment at sex parties when it turns out that Michael Gove is everyone's safe word.